This edition of the Rhode Island Spotlight is brought to you by CVS Health, because health is everything. When you think about someone who is homeless, what is it that comes to mind?
People, unfortunately, have a stereotype of who it is that they think is homeless. They have a visual of a person or what a person might look like or why they end up homeless.
Karen Santilli is the president and CEO of Crossroads Rhode Island, the state's largest emergency shelter, in a system that historically has been geared to men.
And in fact, it could be anybody. It's families, it's people that are the ages of our grandparents, it's young children, young people, 18 to 24, and women.
And if you're an unaccompanied woman, that is, arriving without children or a partner, there have been few resources to help.
If you are a woman who is not part of a family, you're not a veteran, you're not chronically homeless, there's almost no rental assistance or other resources available to help you get housed. And so that's something that we are now focusing on, saying, hey, wait a minute, you may not have intended this, but this is what's happening.
With the help of a $25,000 donation from CVS Health, Crossroads is focusing on unaccompanied women with a special area of its headquarters in Providence, giving up to 40 women a bed, access to this community room, and services to ultimately get them into permanent housing. When the women's shelter opened a decade ago, Santilli said the goal was to eventually close it, but the need has remained steady.
There are 40 beds that are bunk beds, and we said, gee, wouldn't it be nice if at a certain point in time, maybe 5 years down the road, we can take the top bunks off and have 20 beds instead of 40. You're a grown woman. Some of them are in their 60s and 70s, and they have to sleep on the top of a bunk bed. That's also not okay. But we just haven't been able to get there yet.
When we think about investing in health-related charities, when you think about homelessness and the ability to get access to whether it's temporary or permanent housing, Crossroads is just fantastic.
Eileen Howard Boone is a senior vice president with CVS Health, a longtime supporter of Crossroads.
I think for Crossroads, it's a conversation we have every year to say, where do we find the best value for the dollar that we're thinking about to impact the ones that need it the most? That unfortunately changes a lot in the state of Rhode Island. So finding those individual women and understanding that that was a need that wasn't being addressed right now, we didn't want to just write a check. We wanted to make sure that we were impacting a special population.
It was the toughest decision for me. But you know what? My family was safe.
Alicia Goodinson arrived at Crossroads 2 years ago after she was evicted from the house where she was living with her parents and 2 children. She made the heart-wrenching decision of leaving her kids with her father while she tried to get back on her feet.
In the community room, I put my back against the wall because, you know, I watched everybody. But there was a couple of people that, you know, noticed I was kind of nervous and scared, and you know, people off the streets, you never know who you're going to find.
Goodinson spent a total of 6 months here, which gave her the chance to get a job at this gas station and convenience store in Providence. Crossroads also provided rental assistance to get her into her own apartment. But the shelter itself was a safe place for her while she put the pieces together.
The staff here, they keep their eyes open. You know, they know the ins and outs of certain type of people. And, you know, when they notice that somebody's a little agitated, they're right out on it. It's like a home away from home in a way, because, you know, you had memories here. 6 months is a lot. You know, people that you laughed or shared their food. You know, sometimes you didn't have money. Somebody else would hook you up.
They were there for me, and they're the best. And I still stay in touch with them.
Judy Leggett had bounced back and forth between Massachusetts and Rhode Island before landing at Crossroads a year ago. The agency put her up in the women's shelter and helped secure an apartment a few blocks away. She'll be marking her first anniversary there this month.
While we do shelter, and shelter is an important part of the system, the solution is housing. And so our goal is actually to do more housing than shelter.
That can be a challenge in Rhode Island. So Crossroads has hired housing locators to go out and look for apartments.
And we work with those landlords to say, we will help you fill your apartments, and we will make sure that you get your rent paid on the first of the month. And if there's damage to your apartment, we have a mitigation fund where we can help pay for the damage. If you don't like this particular tenant and want to evict them, you don't have to go through the expense and frustration of the eviction process. We'll find another place for that client to live. And so for all of that, would you be willing to reduce your rents a little bit for our folks?
Santilli said landlords often call Crossroads now with openings, and the contribution from CVS is helping bridge the gap in resources.
These are hardworking women that are hitting hard times. It's not that they're sitting on their behinds and waiting for somebody to give them money. These are folks that are really working hard. It's that gap that needs to be filled to get them on their road. This is not charity. This is helping people on their path. We would call it on their path to better health, but they say path to home. When you have housing, you have a sense of, safety is not even the right word, but a sense of where you can build. And so for us, health and housing work together in Rhode Island.
Who says, I want to be homeless when I grow up? Right? No one expects it to happen to them. And life happens. And you lose your job, or you get divorced, or you have a catastrophic illness, and you stay with friends, or you stay with family, and then that doesn't work out because it's either the space is too small, or their landlord won't let you stay there, or you have a fight, and then you put your stuff in storage, and you have your belongings, or you're living out of your car, but your car breaks down, or you lose your job, or you lose your overtime, and so you can't pay for what you have in storage. By the time people come to Crossroads, or by the time we find them on the streets, they've gone through much of their safety net. And they tend to have nothing but the clothes on their back or what's in their bag. They didn't start out that way.
In Providence, Jim Hummel for the Rhode Island Spotlight.